Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coffee with Craig show. We'll be talking about commercial real estate in Central and Eastern Europe. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our special edition of the Coffee with Craig show. We're here with Mateusz Skubiszewski, head of capital markets for BNP Paribas Real Estate in Poland. So, Mateusz, thank you very much for joining us today, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, everyone.
So, Mateusz, let's just start by tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your history in this field.
Craig, as you know, I've been with BNP for a couple of years, already about 8 years, always within investment, real estate investment. That was my major focus. I specialized in CE region. Basically, before BNP, I worked for the industry as well for a couple of asset managers and financial institutions.
Oh, great. Well, here we are kind of in the middle of the pandemic, but let's at least say 18 months into it. And tell us a little bit about the capital markets over the last 18 months. What changes have you seen? What trends have you seen?
So we've been all through a lot of changes, through all of that what has happened to the markets because of pandemic, as we all know. I think the situation now is much more clear, and the time when we were all very much afraid about the markets, the developments, it's already behind of us, and there is a good perspective of the markets, of the future development. We've seen, of course, different situation in some of the segments, sub-segments, but definitely the perspective to me is heading towards positive now.
So what requests are you getting from investors, or what guidance are you giving investors moving forward as far as sectors, what they should expect, what they should really be looking for?
In general, there are a lot of requests concerning stable products with good credits in terms on tenant sides.
Right.
So this is something which is very much in focus of the most of the investors. Yes. So less opportunistic approach, more core plus approach. That's the general trend at the moment.
I mean, probably a lot of the opportunistic investors are just having a bit of a hard time, depending on what they were looking for.
Indeed. Indeed.
So again, is it more industrial, logistics, e-commerce? Those are the big things we're hearing about. Some residential for rent, or
they are definitely the winners. They are leading now the investment environment. Yes, logistics, industrial investments are now in the focus of basically everyone. Yes, everyone is looking at it. E-commerce. I mean,
unless the internet stops working, this is going to be the future.
I mean, this is basically, it's hard to say that there will be, where there will be any, let's say, slowdown in that sector. Basically, for the future, you see only the growth, yes, in that segment. So that impacts also the decisions, yes.
And it seems like a lot of the big, at least in Poland, a lot of the big retail developers are now residential developers. Are you noticing this trend as well? And I assume they're going to sell it off or look at opportunities for investors there too as well. Yeah?
Yes, indeed. So basically they are looking for a diversification of their investment activities, and that's kind of a natural trend, yes.
Right, and some of the big players that have been around, but have kind of also popped up on the retail parks. So give us a little, 30-second, let's say, how you see the retail park investment opportunities.
From the market perspective, retail parks seems to be the product of this market. So everyone is looking for that.
Right.
At the moment. If someone is really looking into retail, he's looking into retail parks, yes? And the product seems to be, in the pandemic, that was the product which showed a lot of resistance and good performance. It is now the product which is being,
required. By investors,
required by the market.
The industrial or logistics is clear. Office, I don't see a lot of new office space being developed. Let's say new projects being either financed by banks or just developers starting them. But you have a lot of great office buildings that are, I don't hear any bad news on the investment side. So how do you see this as a potentially in a couple years when there's no office buildings being delivered, the value going up here? Or how do you see the office market?
The office market is going on, yes. There are transactions happening, yes, as we speak. There are a couple of
some big ones, yeah.
Yes, some of the big ones, some of the mid and smaller ones. I would say the market is now more looking for the mid and smaller size of the office transactions. The big ones, they have their own, let's say, timing, right. Yes, but definitely I think from that what I see, this is the segment which may have some turbulences in a way that due to the whole period which we have already behind us, we may have a little bit less of the new projects coming into the market in the next years, yes.
So this would be good for investors in the sense that if they bought it, it's limited, yeah, or
yes.
Potentially, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, good. And so for the shopping, if we're just going to go into like the shopping centers really quick, how do you see this as something that you're going to see some more transactions on, or do you see it more as the owners will hold on to them until better times? Where do you see the value or the transaction mix here?
I mean, the market for this year and the next year, I think, will be a bit limited. However, there are transactions happening now also on shopping centers. And basically, it's not going to be a huge number, but it will be still a number. The good products will always find a buyer. Sure. It's the old truth, yes. And in that respect, I think there will be still something going on in this segment as well. I'm sure about it.
All right, so we've hit logistics, office, retail, and retail parks. So that's the I don't know. Any comments on hotel, or is that kind of?
I mean, hotel, I think it's basically still a difficult asset. Yes, I would say at the moment the focus is more on residential projects, resi for rent project. This is basically more the trend at the moment when the typical hotel project kind of transferred in the market into the resi for rent.
Right. Yeah, true. That's a good transfer, a good way to reposition an asset. If
a bit of a transition. Yeah.
Very good. Well, we've got 8,000 people watching us a week, and we usually most of these interviews we have close to 10,000 viewers. So let's say we've got a pretty good group of investors watching every week. So let's just wrap it up with kind of if you had one thing to tell them, some pearl of wisdom to kind of end out the show with, what would you tell these investors sitting in Western Europe or the US or the UK or quite a few in Asia now as well? So
I definitely encourage everyone to look into the markets now. It's a good time. It's still a good time to find some opportunities which you can have now at much better pricing that you usually could have in the past. This is the situation. I think that especially in segments which are now less interesting for most of the investors, there are a lot of interesting opportunities. Speaking about retail especially. I mean, for someone who is not afraid of that, there are a lot of opportunities in that. And basically, I think real estate with its fundamentals will remain the major investment asset class. So pandemic, no pandemic environment, it will still drive the markets. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, Mateusz, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. We've got a Coffee with Craig cup for you for participating on the show. Thank you very much for that. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you for everything. Yes, for all of our viewers, thank you for your time, and we will all see you soon. Click here to subscribe to the Coffee with Craig show, and don't forget to share it with your friends.